Well, it's a little after 3 AM. I have coffee. And so it's time for our tales over coffee. As you see, we've moved Vagrus The Riven realms to tales over coffee since it is a highly narrative tale. Let's continue. Number 1. Explore the city. Go for a stroll and see what you find. Following the clamour of raised voices, you come upon a commotion gathered around a small impromptu fighting arena where two men are getting ready to shed blood. You quickly learn from onlookers that what you're about to see is the culmination of a feud between two low-ranking nobles, Sedaris Melius and Devara Benivius. Their competition for the attention of a local poet led them to many misdeeds against one another, and now they seek to settle the matter by having the strongest slaves fight to the death. There is also a shifty-looking fellow who is already taking on bets of several people. One never knows. Let's bet on one of the fighters. The fight commences after the local district's low-ranking magistrate gives a signal, and it takes quite long. The two slaves batter each other with clubs, cut on each other with obsidian blades, and throw one another around until one of them eventually succumbs to his wounds. All the while, the gathered crowd cheers and whoops at the suffering and brutality of the fighters. The poets, whose attention all this is supposedly for, keeps flirting with a serving wench, barely looking at the violence or the nobles. In the end, Sandaris prevails though, and he announces how he is now exclusively worthy of the artist's care. The crowd starts to dissipate. You were lucky enough to bet on the victor. You pocket the winnings from this shifty broker before he could disappear. No reason to stay any longer. +3 lurk. Forever in the twilight of the gigantic cavern, and lit sparingly by huge iron lamps, Torzag's shelter is a bustling city. The Undercity. Beneath the large main caverns of Torzag's shelter is the maze of tunnels and narrow streets that lacks the civic lights of the city and is thus in perpetual darkness. Locals call it the Undercity. Its notoriety is well founded. Crime and desperation thrive in the twilight. Walk around the lakes. The largest open part of the Undercity is a series of caves with dark, clear waters, forming the underground lakes at their bottom. Inventive residents have found a way to make up for lost living space by building their dwellings on stilts and rickety scaffolding. Still, parts of the lakes are fairly abandoned and could even be considered tranquil. You walk around the lakes a while, painfully aware of the things watching you from the sable depths. A beautiful, hauntingly sad area. Leave the lakes. Visit the pleasure houses. The Undercity is famous for its many brothels and harlots. Many of them are slaves and belong to one of the collegia or another criminal organization. That means most of them are fairly clean and won't unexpectedly slit your throat. Yet one never knows in the Undercity. What are these? 4 changer. Well, I've just won 3 lurks, so that's fine. And Loader's Guild 1. Buy some of your crew a good time. Make sure your collegia friends provide the right merchandise. Time flies when someone has fun, they say. The wide grins on the face of your crew remain for a few days to come. -2 movement. Beneath the large main caverns of Torzag. Ah, yes, we're here. Go to the bathhouse. The old bathhouse on the northeast side of the Undercity is well known around the city. As the Loaders Guild base of operations, it is quite large, decaying building of once beautiful marble pillars, arches, and domes. Quite reflective of the fate of the Collegium, really. You make your way to the gates where a couple of rough-looking bouncers stop you. Entry only on official business, mate. The head guard lets you know without enthusiasm. Tell them you're here looking for someone. Everything changes when you mention the name of Braxius, and the fact that you are here for Garrick. The guards become friendly. And is that relief in their voices? Two of them escort you through corridors. I should warn you that the language here gets a little ripe. This channel is aimed at 18 plus. But I'm warning you that some of the language is definitely not safe for work. They open up a cell with iron keys and shake a smelly dwarf from his sleep. The fuck now? The belligerent dwarf growls as he's rubbing his eyes. Come to suck some dwarf cock? His captors are clearly not amused by his shenanigans. A quick slap to the back of his balding head silences him, though he quietly swears revenge. 'Tis the one. We're told he no longer owes the Capus, so he's all yours. They're escorted back to the entrance with a dizzy dwarf in tow. Just when you are about to leave through the gate arch, the dwarf notices something, and it yanks him from his quiet stupor. He leaps surprisingly quickly to the side of one of the guards and grabs something on his belt and then tears it open. Before the guards could reach, he begins shouting, "You fucking bastards. Thought you could steal this and get away with it? I'll tear you a new one." Garrick appears to be holding some kind of object, golden, with a complicated design. The guards are shocked and getting angry, but the sight of the red-faced dwarf and the object, as well as their orders, give them pause. "Alrighty," the one who had the object in his belt says eventually. "Keep the damn thing, it ain't good for anything." There's a cold metallic click echoing down the marble corridor. Uh-oh. A moment of silence follows. The guards look flabbergasted, small droplets of sweat forming on their foreheads. "Aye, I'll keep it all right," Garrick hisses. "It's mine, and I'll make sure you fuckers will remember that." Tensions mounts as the dwarf points one end of the device toward the guards. Then he looks at you and appears to have an effect on him. He sticks the device into his cross belt and shuffles out into the street, mumbling another time. You follow him down the street where he beckons you into a cheap watering hole. An hour later, Garrick and you are sitting idly, sipping mushroom wine in the tavern. You have explained to him how you got him out of the Collegium captivity and settled his debt. He's quite calm now, thoughtful even. Perhaps it's time to ask questions. Ask him about the device. Oh, this. Garrick pulls it out of his holster. Our kin used to be able to make them, using black powder. Ah, gunpowder. It's the dwarf with the golden gun. Very rare these days, as you know, since our ancestors got themselves cooked right and proper. But some of these little fellas remain, and I got my hands on this one. Don't bother trying to buy it, or anything. Only I can use it properly. You probably know how handy it comes. Oh, aye. Talk about something else. Ask what happened to him. Garrick makes a grimace. I got royally fucked in the arse, that's what, he says, clearly irritated. So-called business associate of mine conspired to bring me down, the bastards. All because I was more successful than them. I was drawn into a promising deal and then I was betrayed. I lost everything. Garrick strikes the table with his fist in anger. The barkeep reaches for a club, but the dwarf smiles apologetically and raises his hands in a gesture of peace. Anyhow, that's the short version. Then I couldn't pay the damn loaders, yada yada. I tried to get out of the city, but they pinched me, and I've been sitting in that fucking cell ever since. Until you came. Talk about something else. Ask what he plans to do now. Hopefully come with us. The plan is... Garrick trails off for a moment. The plan is to get back what is mine, sooner or later. For now, I wouldn't mind getting out of this damn shithole. I suppose you'll want me to work for you. It's fine. I gotta start rebuilding and busying myself. Talk about something else. You've had enough. Heard enough. So, the dwarf down to the last few gulps of his drink. I guess you haven't freed me for good for my good looks and charm, eh? I know how this goes. I'll work for you, and you'll see how fucking good I am at what I do. But I ain't working for free. Nah, that ain't me. You agree on standard wages. Garrick seems content. It's best I take me leave of that damned shelter for a while anyways. And I got favours to call in all over the region. I'm gonna go grab my stuff. I got some hidden stashes these fuckers never got close to finding. I'll meet you at your mancio. He must see the doubt on your face, because he adds, I ain't gonna bolt if that's what you're afraid of. A little trust here, eh? I do the same. It ain't easy to put me trust in anyone after what happened. That's fair. You leave the watering hole and go about your business. Garrick is a dwarf of his word, it seems. You do meet him at your mancio, all packed up and ready to go. Garrick joins your comitatus. Oh, we've done that. The Civic District. In a city of perpetual twilight, the Civic District is a welcome smudge of colour and brightness. Lamps are kept lit all day and night, while soft music and song can be heard from the windows of the marble villas. Streets are kept relatively clean and are rarely crowded apart from the seasonal festivities and holidays, which usually turn the district into a sea of people and a storm of noise. Visit the Gardens of Leviana. The gardens are reputed as a place of tranquility and as a rendezvous point for lovers. Upon entering through the arch in its tall stone fence, you can see several people loitering here, most of whom are clearly here for neither tranquility nor love, but look like some kind of gang. To you, and take a walk in the gardens. -1 movement. It looks like we're out. The gardens are huge, so it takes a while to explore it. You would expect the gardens to be primarily mushrooms, given the conditions of the shelter, but to your surprise there is a lot of variety beyond those. Thorny vines engulfing areas like thick green spiderwebs, thickets of tree-sized fronds that undulate as if underwater, pale luminescent flowers on clearings, twisted stumps that look like grotesque tumours, and even structures of elongated trees with meaty leaves and wet mouths opening between them. The ceiling of the cavern is lower here, and the only source of light are crystal lamps placed quite far apart, so walking around feels like wandering in an underground jungle of sorts. Often the only sign of civilization is the presence of the occasional overgrown stone pillar and statues. No wonder people who want privacy in a bustling city like Torzag tend to congregate here, yet the whole place reeks of neglect and it's wildly overgrown. Do something else? Talk to the superintendent. Living in an overgrown shack at the back of Laviana's is a superintendent whose task is to look after the garden. A lean fellow with brown, wise eyes and a slight overbite, he welcomes you with a smile and a nod, then inquires how he can be of help. You have questions. Questions. I see. He smiles again. I'm not much of a sage, but I'll do the best I can. Ask about the Gardens of Laviana. The superintendent sucks in air audibly. Oh, this place? He is lost in thought for a few seconds. He's old. I guess I like that about it. A lot, actually. They say when Laviana died, many of her acolytes dispersed to the four winds, trying to outdo each other and their master really, by embarking on ambitious projects in the vain hope of what she had been known for doing. One of the students, whose name has been lost to history, founded a garden here of all places, no doubt wanting to demonstrate that fauna can evolve and survive in all but the direst of environments. Isn't it more flora? I guess fauna could be here. The difference, if you don't know, flora is plants and fauna is animals. Needless to say, the powers to be in the city at this time, worshipping dark gods and ruling with an iron fist, did not support these endeavours. Yet the student persisted, and by some kind of power that was at his command, managed to enhance and sustain growth in the cavern. Even to this day, this power remains. So much so, in fact, that one does not have to do much work when it comes to tending the garden. It tends to itself. A magical garden. How beautiful. Ask another question. Ask about the superintendent himself. Me, he says, somewhat surprised. I'm a nobody, just a man who enjoys being left alone. And living close to nature. No offence. I do enjoy talking to people every now and then. But I like it here, really, even if sometimes I feel constrained. I used to do a lot of things before this, though. Travelled the world, heard wise men talk, followed gods and priests. I even sold books at one time from a stall, if you believe it. But this age is not of books and writers, nay. You notice how carved figurines and statuettes line the shelves on the inside of the shack. A hobby of mine, one could say, figurative art yet organic. I am no master, but it helps kill time. I often buy myself new ones. Collection of sorts. I think there's more to him than we know. Ask another question. Take your leave. Try the gangs. The gangs that loiter around the central plazas and gazebos of the gardens are little more than unorganised rabble, who watches over the neighbourhood or even sets paths inside Laviana's changes daily. Mostly petty, coinless nobles, self-proclaimed street artists, small-time criminals and bogweed junkies make up these gangs. Since they do not belong to any collegium, they do not enjoy their protection, which makes them kind of jumpy. Yet it also makes them useful when you want to sell certain goods behind the backs of the collegia. The plazas around the once beautiful central fountains are considered neutral territory. You can approach the gangs here about business, though you have to admit that their hungry eyes, gazing at you from the ramshackle dens and under dirty taps, makes you feel uneasy. Let's just leave. You walk out of Central Plaza followed by shifty eyes, and only later notice that someone pickpocketed you. Oh, wonderful. I left because I have nothing to sell to them. Two-changer. That's still not much. And I think that's it there. Visit the Arena Maximus. Easily the largest building in the district, and perhaps the entire city, is the Arena Maximus. The grand fighting circle stands many stories tall, where Legio March Avenue and Mercator Street meet, effectively on the border of the merchants and civic districts. Its circular form is a masterpiece of imperial architecture, harkening back to ancient times, and its sands are said to have seen thousands of deaths. You walk up to its immense gate arch. A guard informs you that the arena is closed for the time being, and will only open if there are games on going on, either thanks to a worthy sponsor or due to seasonal festivities. Then I may as well leave. The Dragon's Nest Inn. The famous Dragon's Nest Inn is close to the traditional border of the market square, and thus in the vicinity of the city gate. Its exterior is not much to look at, a hodgepodge of old buildings leaning in together at the foot of a cave wall. A red dragon is painted above the entrance, above which rows upon rows of windows indicate the rooms are carved into the rock itself. The inside is much more impressive. The skeleton of a huge dragon provides the frame of the common room, with its curling spine and many ribs serving as supports for the ceiling and walls, while its immense skull was turned into a bar. The bartender gives out beverages and takes orders through its half-open jaws. The decoration is lavish but old, completed with paintings, a collection of silver goblets, vines that run along the dragon bone, and two fireplaces that provide a pleasant warmth. The rest of the establishment is beyond and above the common room, carved into the rock. The clientele is quite colourful, and lacks the usual local derelicts that most taverns of the world have. Instead, you see only wealthy merchants, vagary, foreign nobles, fastidious escort girls, emissaries, mercenaries, and travellers of all sorts here. Several passengers are looking for accommodatus or purchase quality booze. I can't afford that really right now. I did already get them some pleasure, Several passengers looking for a comitatus. There is an odd density of new faces here, according to the bartender. The nest tends to draw travellers, but ever since the earthquake a few weeks ago, a lot of people seem to be displaced in one way or another. They were turned back by strange storms and insane winds in the north, or by morose legionnaires in the south. There is even talk of refugees from the Upper Empire. Upon hearing that you are looking for passengers for your comitatus, a grim-looking man in dark armour walks up to you and introduces himself. He is a priest of Surgorod, god of anger and revenge. The Church of Surgorod directed him to arrange his travels to the backwater town of Crystal in the west, to conduct an investigation there. He remains tight-lipped in the nature of said investigation, but assures you he will not burden you. He travels alone and keeps to himself. He'll pay you 2 copper coins now and 8 more on arrival. That would be the equivalent of 1 bros, which is good money. But how dangerous will it be? Well, we'll take him. The famous Dragon's Nest. Okay. Leave the Dragon's Nest. The Bestiaris Arena. The Bestiaris Arena is an old fighting pit walled off from the streets, crossing the civic district to the upper undercity. Prices are lower here, and fighters need not be accepted into the circle of gladiators. All pit fights are against monsters, beasts, and dangerous animals. All of them are messy and are considered very entertaining. Consequently, the place is usually abuzz with a very colourful crowd, as are the watering holes, stalls, and pleasure houses of the block. The stench of animal waste, urine, and sweat is almost unbearable. The arena's owner runs it almost exclusively via slave attendants, whom swarm the place clad in pale green tunics. I think we'll leave. We don't have the fighters for it, really. Visit the public library. The buildings occupied by the Imperial Public Library take up 2 blocks on the western side of the district. The once pristine, but now cracked and dirty marble main building has got to be among the greatest achievements in Imperial architecture. The amount of detail is simply amazing, yet the sorry state of the stone itself is said to reflect that of the library itself, neglected by both Imperial officials and the common people, who it was meant to educate and inform. It slowly regressed and decayed into obscurity. A sign is attached to the gigantic double doors that would lead into the main hall of the library, saying temporarily closed. Nothing to be done, it seems. I have a feeling that will develop through the course of the game. In the City of Perpetual Light, yes. Visit the infirmary. The infirmary, called Hospitatium Anima Lassis, is run by a lively woman with a mane of wavy black hair and a nigh permanent smile, quite unusual for someone around wounded and sick people all the time. She welcomes you to her establishment, housed in a clean and well-maintained building. The stench of disinfectant elixirs and urine is constantly in the air. Services are open to anyone, though not affordable by most. I don't have any healers with me, I don't think. So I'll just buy some for the road. Wares and coins change hand. And 7. Infirmary and leave the district. The Market District. Sprawling over a dozen blocks close to the city gate, the Market District is a bustling, crowded place where you can buy and sell almost anything imaginable. Anyone entering the labyrinth of shops, stalls, and bazaars is constantly bombarded with a wide range of strong smells and invaded by the competing shouts of peddlers and salesmen. Listen to the rumours circulating at the market. What is this, by the way? This is March movement points. Ah. Every 3 days and 4 changer. I have plenty of changer. News and rumours here change hands just as fast as goods and wares do. That said, you will have to open your purse. Yes, indeed, spend some coin. You hear a lot of things, but none of it proves useful. You give up after a while. I suppose we could go back. No, we couldn't. Visit the Calrish market. Actually, go back to Braxius. Huddled between 2 tall and decrepit buildings, Braxius' storefront is not much to look at. Only his name is written on the stone slab above the doorway. No sign, no display, no stall, nothing. Inside is a dark little room with a dainty counter. A dirty counter, a strange odour, nondescript, etc. We've been here before. Ask if you can procure more people. I'm afraid I can't be of help with that. I haven't heard of anyone else who had qualified lately. If you're looking for such people, I suggest listening to rumours and, you know, travelling around a bit. Fine. Buy something? What would we buy? Best lures, drive... Okay. I think we're okay. And we'll leave the store. The Calrish Market. The Calrish Market occupies several streets and a spacious plaza on the north side of the district. Though its location is fixed, its residents are anything but. Because of the nomadic lifestyle of the Calrish, no tribe or merchants of theirs stays for long in Torzag. Yet there are always enough of them here to make good business constantly. Many of them peddling their wares literally from their backs. The Calrish are enthusiastic hagglers and born deal makers. Browse the goods on display. What will you find today? There's guard animals. Bogweed. And jewel. Would be extremely expensive. Guard animals. +5 flee, +15 vigilance. A pack of muckaroo to sniff out danger and alert you. Perk granted +1 perceptive. I think that might be good. And I can't do any more there, apparently. Leave the market district. And the temple district. Wait, I did the wrong one. Although called the temple district, this part of the city, sprawling over spacious rock terraces, and in the northwest section of the gigantic main cavern, houses not only temples and shrines, but government buildings and other offices too. Lit day and night by blazing iron chandeliers, the huge dark buildings loom ominously, reminding one that even below the surface the gods rule supreme. Chanting echoes down the streets, and acolytes quietly hurry up and down the long stone stairs, carrying with them the scent of incense. Go to the Grand Mortuary. The Grand Mortuary is a series of tomb-like buildings built both upon and into the rock terraces. The main building of this necropolis is a white marble mausoleum with 3 wings, not the largest ashkel temple in the Empire by far, but still an imposing one. Silent, white-faced novices in dark tunics stand around the plazas and chant holy incantations. This is also the graveyard of the city, at least for those with enough coin to purchase a resting place in the maze of tombs below the terraces. If you wish to interact with the Church of Ashkull, you are at the right place. Alright. Have I slain undead? I don't think I have. Ask a priest about Ashkull. You ask a friendly death priest to tell you about the King of the Underworld. They are quite used to these requests, so he immediately shift into a lecturing register. Ashkull is a god of death, King of the Underworld, who we call Great King, for he is the greatest of kings and rulers, ultimately ruling over all monarchs in death, except perhaps over the Emperor, who is deathless. The elder god of death used to be a Tanat, but he disappeared along with their pantheon after the calamity. Ashkull emerged and took over Tartarus and the afterlife realm, where the souls of most mortals go after death. The Great King is thought to be the first of the dead because he is said to have died before any other being in creation. He has thus unmatched power over those that die. But Ashkull is not an angry or evil god, no. He is the caretaker of souls, the one that grants peace to mortals after they die. Our duty is to administer proper rituals and ensure that everyone gets their deserved respect upon leaving this world. You thank him for his time. See what services the priest offers. Many people turn to the Great King's servants. Most popular are those petitioning for a quiet death, a proper funeral, or a contract of binding, but the priests are open to all kinds of requests. Undead curse, have yourself and your crew blessed. Purchase Ashkullite charms. Purchase Ashkullite charms in bulk. Contract of binding, I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to do that. A blessing. The blessing of Ashkull is said not only to keep accursed undead away, but also protects those that offer the effect under the effects of the blessing with increased resilience. The priests tell you that the effects usually last a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. 8 Lurg, you have 169. Pay for a blessing of unbinding, allows your companions to damage impervious enemies for 12 days. 4 Bros. We'll get a basic blessing. 3 priests gather around you and your crew in a quiet chamber, much like a tomb. One of the holy men leads the ritual, wielding a carved scepter made of femur. The large black granite statue of the Great King looks down upon you with indifference, but toward the end of the chanting you can almost feel something in its cold gaze. Is it pity? You all rise with a strange sensation in your bones. I don't think we can do that. Do something else. Not going to defy Ashkull in the priest's own place. Leave the Grand Mortuary. Go to the Cathedral of Sergorod. Countless administrative buildings. I'll go to the authorities, I did. Bureaucratic centres and obscure offices can be found in the confines of the Temple District. Clerks and scribes run between them in droves during hours, carrying large stacks of parchments, messages and papers. Unless you are looking for something specific, you have no place here. Bounty's office. I don't think we have the people to do that yet. Large armed force. Try to find out more about the wind situation. You inquire about the current situation with Whispering Winds, which is the talk of the town, but you can immediately sense from the reaction of the official that something is not right. You are subsequently sent to an administrator, then some clerks that are supposed to deal with logistical issues, who in turn send you over to another office handling public information. There they tell you that all this is classified. Eventually a Sergorod priest informs you that there is indeed something odd with the winds, ever since an earthquake and storms occurred down south at the Singing Winds. He will not elaborate, but tells you that the detachment of the Empire is hard at work to protect citizens such as you. They are stationed south of the city. Apparently, for security reasons, all travel over the Separatist Mountains is temporarily suspended. Learning nothing particularly new. Don't need a permanent outpost, leave the administrative buildings. Cathedral of Surgorod. You are at the heart of a Surgorod realm, at least the one mortals can access, the Grand Cathedral of Surgorod. Just looking at the massive black stone building covered in iron spikes makes you feel insignificant and threatened. Angry chanting echoes through the red-lit corridors and halls as pledges of vengeance are uttered upon the God of Wrath's sanctums. The temple complex, taking up most of the district, is the largest and most important one in the Empire that belongs to the Church of Surgorod, making this the seat of their clergy. The shelter is not called Surgorod City for no reason. Ask the priest about Surgorod. It only takes a minute to get the attention of a fervent priest, and she is more than happy to talk about her god. The Raging One, Surgorod, is the god of anger, vengeance, and curses. He is the fire that burns in us against injustice, and thus the protector and champion of the Empire. When the traitor Elder Gods brought the calamity on the world, they committed a sin greater than any seen before them. Then, in our darkest hour, our master arrived and offered an iron-clad hand to us. Through his wrath we rose again and fight against those that wronged us, and they will curse the day when they dared conspire against Imperials. It is known that Surgorod's servants are granted clairvoyance to be able to find the traitors and deal with them. We also answer the call of the battle in the Empire's wars, and when justice has to be served, woe betides anyone who tries to hinder the Master of Curses. You thank her for a time. What else do you wish to do here? Warp services. I don't need any of them. Not going to anger Surgorod, so leave. And leave the temple district. We have supplies, luxury wine, and supplies. We have 306 supplies apparently. But we also have luxury wine, which we could sell for that. Unfortunately, I do not know what is going to be good. Cultivating a good relationship with certain factions will benefit you in many ways, one of these being special trade offers. Alright, but I don't know how good these are. They provide at the market, but only where the given faction has a presence. You can check if you have access to trade offers on the Faction Details tab under the Leader UI. Higher standing of the faction unlocks better offers. Offers can be for buying and selling goods, and are always full stacks. Two prices are given, normal and preferential, with the latter costing you reputation with the faction. These prices are fixed as opposed to dynamic market prices. Okay. Luxury wine. I don't know if that's a good thing to do, because I don't know if I would get better elsewhere. Beasts of burden. Refresh the news from this location and share your news for coin. Riches of the earth. Sought after in the north. I don't know what that is. It's a rumour. A beast of burden would be extremely expensive. Excuse me, coughing. I assume this is the this is what I would need. 65 days to deliver them to where? Miners looking for work. Where would I be taking them? Could you tell me where? Many settlements have faction panes like this, where one can interact with factions with a presence at a given location. Each faction offers a variety of tasks that you can take on. Tasks are procedurally generated, non-story related objectives you can complete for money and reputation with factions. You can take on tasks under the available tasks tab. Each has requirements including faction standing, etc. The active tab is where you can turn in tasks. You are at the right place or discard them. Be mindful that doing so will result in serious penalties. The rewards tab lists all the factions standing rewards you can potentially claim. You are unable to claim rewards if you do not meet the faction standing requirements. Okay, hold space. And I don't have factions standing at all. Oh, I do. That's to Lumen. That's to the quarry. Supply run to Lumen. But it would be nice to know where they are. Free cargo slots, I do have them. Let's go up to Argon. I can rather. Supply full Argon. I do not have sufficient working crew. Okay. Then how much crew do I need? Understaffed. How many crew do I need? Oh, 6.85. All right. There we are. Partially defended. And I'm understaffed again. That should be fine. Mines are plenty, Twin Towers and Lumen. I wish I had a map. There should surely be a map somewhere. Is this a map? Oh no, that's a price history. Eight 3 9 6 10 4 7 3 18 8 21 12. But I'm looking at the buy versus sell. No. Alright. Looks like there might not actually be anything I can trade there for a profit. And most of it is an extreme loss. Mushrooms is straight up equal. 37 to 42 pottery. So that's a profit. Just not much of one. It was pottery, wasn't it? 37 to 42. Yeah, that's not helpful to me. That's not profit. And that's 5 days old, so it may not even be true anymore. We'll rest. Pay now. And day. Is there anything else going on? Go to the bathhouse, leave the Undercity. Market District. Tribal trinkets, no. See, I don't know how I can sell them. I don't know if that will be good or not. Well, I guess we're going to leave. You approach the mighty gates of Torzag's shelter. One can see the scorching desert sky loom above the cruel black battlements as Comitatus takes its place in the long line of vast gate. You notice a lean woman dressed in bureaucrat's tunic and a cape approach one of your guards and talk to him briefly. They walk up to you soon afterwards. Apologies, Vagrus, the woman says, bowing her head politely. I work for the Magistrate of Tax Collection. No need to be alarmed. I am here to present you an opportunity. I have a message attached to some documents that I need delivered to Aachen for our client's bars. You'll be compensated. Yes. Thank you, Vagrus. I am sure it will be worth your time. Our client is a very resourceful man who works for a researcher of some renown. He awaits the message in the town of Aachen to the north, where he rents a small apartment above a tobacco shop in Sildwall Street. His name is Levantius. With that, she hands over the leather case, bows her head, and takes her leave. All right. Is that what's up here? It appears you can't move around the map. Hang on. Ah. Maybe you can. Aachen is up there. We're down here. Kernak Way Station. I need crystal. That's up there. Past Aachen. So our first stop is Aachen. And then we'll try and make it to crystal. Right. We'll go back inside there. Nothing to hide. Pay the gate tax. And go to see what we can do. Mines of Plenty, Twin Towers, and Lumen. None of them are any good. Lumen. Drisian, Lumen. Aachen. We'll take that. Aachen. We'll take that. We're full. We need some we need some supplies. Can I not buy any more? Oh. Let us get to at least 5. Maybe 2 full stacks. That's 6 days. We're spending a lot, but it's not like we're going to lose what we don't use, I don't think. And it seemed important to have food for the journey. There. Crew. I had an extra fighter. And with that we leave. Pass through the checkpoint. The guards talk to you briefly about as the commentators move through the gate. Taking care of it, free to leave. Right. Now, how exactly was it that I saw the eyes, the chart there? So it's Torzags over to the road and then up. follow the road until we reach some distance up until we reach a branch. Very well. The commentators have seen better days. In fact, your comments are in pretty foul mood. Something ought to go wrong. One of your crew gets drunk and in his drunken frustration beats a slave. By the time it's clear that it is more than usual beating, it's too late. The slave's head was bashed in with a rock. What will happen to the perpetrator? Have him treated as a slave, you fool. You assaulted one of you destroyed my property. You are part of it now. I'm away from the... I'm being a fool. I'm away from the road. Very well. Make camp. Pay now. End day. Something is bound to happen when slaves are disgruntled thusly. One of the worst things happened to you, awoken by yelling and find one of your comrades was murdered during the night. Could have been anyone, really, but something tells you the deed was somehow committed by disgruntled slaves. We'll punish them. Seems to work. Good. +1 obedience. The commentator's morale is dangerously low. Why? Close to being irreversibly broken. Been here before, this is your last chance. Test failed. The important thing is that your career as Vagrus is over. Why? I must look into how to improve morale for next time, because we will be restarting. Maybe not immediately, but we will be coming back to this. And so our journey ends. You have been great. It's been wonderful presenting this to you. I have been Yorkie the Tale Spinner, and the 2 hours been absent. There are links around to other gameplays if you wish to try them. There's a like and a subscribe to help us grow. And there's a comment section in which I shall respond. Fare thee well.